Hello again, crafty friends, and if you are new to my channel, welcome. Today I am going to be showing you this card that I created using a BoBunny stamp set called Everyday Icons that I recently hauled. When I saw this stamp set, I thought that the icons were so darling and so cute that I just had to have them. So I went ahead and picked them up, and though I think that they're intended for planners or journaling, I thought that they would be really cute to make cards with. And here I was trying to decide what I was going to make. So you see, I was going to use my stamping platform, and then I decided to make something else, change my mind. So I am using this circle as a guide, and I am going to be stamping these three little icons around. Now this little circle, I didn't have a circle punch or anything handy with me when I started creating, and I was putting together these little links that Dina sent me, so I grabbed it to use it as a guide. It worked out perfect. So putting that little piece of tape to hold it in place, and then just stamped all around with some memento ink. Now I am just using my powder tool because I want to do some embossing, to do some ink blending, but I want to do some ink resist. And I am just choosing different icons or different little things that are, related to crafting, and putting them around, where I think I would want them to be stamped. I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to be stamping or how I was going to be doing this to make it easier on myself, but I decided to pick up one of my stamping blocks and pick them all up, and using my Simon Says Stamp clear ink, I am just going to be stamping them kind of where I layer them. Now this was only going to be a one uh, time that I was going to stamp it, because it wasn't going to work if I tried to flip it or reuse that same pattern that I created. So I just went ahead and picked up some of my embossing powder, and I am using this one from Recollections that has like a pearlescent color. It is very, very pretty. So it is a little bit shimmery, but it's kind of white. It is a little bit hard to catch on the light here, but you can barely see it. So using that as a guide, I just picked up a few more other stamps with a smaller stamp block, and I am just stamping in randomly so I can fill in the open spots and spaces, so I can, just put them all around. Once I did that, I added the embossing powder all over, and you can kind of see it here a little bit. And I brought my glass mat again, because when I do ink blending, it works really good doing it on the glass mat, because the ink just kind of slides through. So I am using different colors. So I was trying to use a rainbow color, and I'm using just some of the distress oxides that I have, which is worn lipstick, and then this is called fossilized amber, which is kind of like a yellowish tone, but when you mix them together, obviously you make orange. Now for my green, I am using this cracked pistachio. I was trying to keep the colors also more on the pastel, softer side, but I did kind of go a little bit heavy-handed on this yellow one, so I was trying to kind of fix it by going a little bit darker with the other colors as well. I only have two of these little ink tools, so you'll see me changing the little sponges throughout, because I only have two, but I do have many little sponges that I can use for different colors. Now for the blue one, I am using broken china, and again, I'm just doing here, trying to add a little bit of color. I also pulled up a scrap of paper because my fingers were getting a little bit inky, and I didn't want to leave the fingerprints on my panel, so that works perfect to put it in there. And then now for my purple, I am using wilted violet. I was trying to leave the inks up here so that way you could read or see the colors that I was using, but I realized that my camera wasn't really focusing on the words. But again, that's worn lipstick, fossilized amber, cracked pistachio, broken china, and wilted violet. So those are the colors that I used, and I'm just going to be cleaning my mat and move on to the next steps. Now I wanted to add a little bit more of the distress look to it, and I just recently hauled the distress sprayer, which I hadn't bought one before, so it was my first time using it, and I love the little splatters and everything, so picked it up with a tissue that I had handy, so that way I could pick up the excess water. And then I came back and I stamped my three main icons 4 times, because I wanted to color those. And yes, I went the crazy way because I went and color each one of these little individual items. And I am just again picking the rainbow colors, but I am coloring randomly, not necessarily picking a specific way to do it. I am also not shading or doing any of that because these images are so super tiny that it would be really hard to create any shading. Now, if there's people that do that, my hat goes off to them because this is a lot of work and the images are so super tiny. I don't know how they would do it. But anyway, I'm trying to just kind of use the same color or spread a little bit of the colors. When I'm using one, just, pick different images to color at the same time. And, that way it kind of moves along and you don't go back and forth between colors on one image. So here I am. Once I'm done choosing where I am going to be putting blue, then I pull them out and I fussy cut each individual one. And then yes, I went in and cut in between those little legs of the easels because I wanted the colors to show. So yeah, I'm a little crazy that way. So what I did here, I just cut out my panel off camera using my dies, and I'm using the Ariel double pierce or double stitch die, and then also a circle die that I used to cut this one. Now I don't have any crafty words or crafty sentiments, but I had this other one that's kind of for Happy Mail from Pink Fresh, and it says you are absolutely amazing. So I thought it would be really cool to put it in the center. Now using my ATG, I am going to adhere the panel to my card base, and I am using a standard A2 size. So I just try to eyeball it and center it as as best as I can. And then I just started cutting itty bitty tiny strips of foam tape to put onto the pencils and on each one of these little items or icons because I wanted to pop them up. And it was kind of tedious, but it was also kind of fun. Sorry about the focus that kind of went off my camera there, but I am just adding the tiny little strips to the pencils first, and then you'll see me here that I'll come back and cut the little squares to add on to each one of the things. I was trying to decide if I wanted to pop every single thing or if I wanted to leave them flat, but I did stamp them with the black background because I wanted to still be able to see the shadow beneath each one of the icons. So I cut the itty bitty squares like I told you and put them onto each one of the images because I wanted to have everything prepared so I can just kind of keep and go. Now at this point I had already put the foam tape onto the back of each one of the things, and I went and picked up these foam squares because they are thicker than the foam tape that I was using, so it would give a little bit extra dimension to my sentiment. And that's when I realized that I had actually cut two of the circles, and when I was putting it there, it came apart, so I glued them together just to give a little bit of extra dimension to it as well. I took the backing off of it, and I just kind of centered it onto the panel like how it was intended. So now I can just go grab my little icons and little images and put them where they belong. And I'm just trying to kind of vary the colors so they can alternate, and I don't have blue with blue or the colors like that. So try to make them a little bit opposite, but I am just putting all of those back there where they belong. And yes, you can see here those tiny little easels. What I did to cut the little legs, I actually cut straight right next to the black line, so I didn't leave a border because I didn't want them to look like stickers. And I cut the little legs through the whole thing and then just kind of trim around and glue them back. And then now that completes the front of my card. Now I was just thinking about what to make on the inside because I didn't know what I was going to do yet. I decided that I was going to leave it blank, and then once I send the card, then I can go ahead and add a sentiment on the inside. But I decided to add the remainder of the the paper that I had cut out because it's already inked and it looks so pretty. And it was perfect the size of the 4¼ by 5½. So I decided to put it on the inside of the card. So that completes my video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.